My neighbors. It's a Dominican guy and an African guy, and they're out there vibing with each other, getting to know each other. You know, the African guy moved in not too long ago, so the Dominican guy is vibing with him, getting to know him. I like to see that. That's a beautiful thing. All right, now, my friend told me that I have an interesting and important perspective when it comes to Black America. My father is 69, about to be 70 this August, and he's been a school teacher ever since he was 19. He came to my city. He came from a little town, came here in 1970, and he started doing like internships, and he's been involved in teaching in one way or another since 1970. And he was a city bus driver as well. He drove the city bus at night, and he taught in the daytime. So I never really had a chance to have a relationship with him. He would always drop food off to me when I was at the rec centers and stuff like that, or I would have to ride the bus with him. You know, he would pick me up after he got out of school, and I'd ride the bus with him from 3 to 1 a.m., and then he'd be up at 5 a.m. to go teach. And, yeah, I got an important perspective on just life in the inner city. The thing that I've always noticed is, first of all, the kids used to make fun of me because I was a little bit different. You know, they would make fun of me because of the way that I speak. And I never really got ashamed, and I never was embarrassed because of that, because I always looked at that as sad. These kids don't really value intelligence. They don't value proper education and things of that nature. So when they see it, they don't understand it. So they make fun of it because it's something foreign to them. And that's because a lot of these parents have dropped out of high school, dropped out of school at some point in their lives. And when they had children, and when they have these kids, they are unable to help these kids. I'm about to go in the bathroom real quick because I don't want this. Somebody's coming in my house and they're going to speak. But I don't want these kids. I mean, these kids don't value. I mean, the parents don't teach. I mean, they can't help the kids with their homework. You know, they can't help them with their homework because they dropped out. So they don't really have the understanding of the material to help them. That's one thing I've noticed. Another thing that I've noticed is all right, hold on real quick. Another thing that I've noticed is this, right? Another thing that I've noticed is a lot of these kids have problems. Sometimes they have vision problems, and they can't see the board. So my dad would be writing the work on the board, and the kids would fail. And the kid would be too ashamed to actually say, "Hey, I can't see. Can you, move me to the front of the class? I need glasses," or whatever. He's too ashamed, or he might not even realize that he needs glasses because he's a kid. And the parent is too busy because she's young. She's 20-something. She's getting high. She's smoking weed. She's chasing men. She got a live project house. You know, every day she got a project. You know, so it's busy. It's popping over there every single day. So she's not concerned about, that. You know, a lot of times these girls, these women, they're not really doing things like taking their kid to the eye doctor and stuff like that. Even though they have the Medicaid to do it, a lot of times they don't do it. You know, they do the basic things like, basically they don't do it unless they're forced to. So a lot of times these kids slip through the cracks and they fail because they simply can't see the board. Sometimes they have vision problems. A lot of times these kids have Asperger's syndrome and autism. But like I said, the mothers don't really know that because they're not that in tune with their kids' lives. When the kids come home, the mom is so concerned about being young and living her young life that she just wants that kid to be quiet, shut up, go outside, leave me alone. They might say, do your homework, but they're not helping them with the homework because, like I said, the mom doesn't understand the material. The father might not be in the kid's life because the mother, had a child by a man that she barely knew. And the mentality of a lot of chicks that live in the hood is, I'm not going to put them on child support because I don't want to be a snitch. And I've experienced this because I actually help the kids in these schools that my dad worked at. I deal with them every day. And this is a real thing. A lot of these women feel like they don't want to put these guys on child support because they might be hustlers, they might be in the streets, and they don't want to do anything to put these guys in a position to get arrested. You know what I mean? So the guy's not taking care of his child, they just leave him alone and just have another child by somebody else. And if that guy's not taking care of the child, they just let the guy be. They don't require him to be a father. So that's a big problem. Another problem is at my dad's school, the superintendent of the district actually had to come to the school because so many kids were getting suspended every day for fighting. Mainly girls, young black girls fight more than the boys. But so many kids were getting suspended for fighting every day. Like 10 kids a day were getting suspended. And it got to a point where the superintendent stepped in and said, we cannot suspend any more kids because we're not going to have a school anymore. And my dad was very upset when he told me about that. And he said that the new thing is if they get suspended, if they fight, they can't be suspended. You know, we can't suspend them for anything pretty much because if we keep suspending them, we're not going to have a school. And another thing is the kids can't fail anymore. If the kids fail and they get an F, you still have to move them to the next grade. That's a new requirement. And yes, that's real. If the kids fail, they push them along to the next grade. They put them in summer school, and usually it used to be if you failed a grade, you go to summer school, and if you pass, you get to go to the right grade. Now, if you fail, you go to summer school, and if you fail or pass in summer school, you still get to the next grade. So you can no longer fail because so many kids were getting retained that it was like the whole entire school would be held back if you didn't push them forward. Teachers. A lot of the teachers in the inner city school system are young, like 20 years old, 21 years old. Like the school that my dad teaches at, he's the oldest one. Everybody else is 21 or 22. Younger than me, and they are only teaching so that they can get their student debt wiped away, their student loan debt. You know, because if you work as a teacher for a certain amount of years, you get that debt completely wiped out. And they are on yearly contracts. So every year it's a different group of teachers. So the kids aren't able to form bonds with these teachers because every year it's brand new teachers. Because they only sign 1-year contracts in the inner city school systems. In the suburbs, you might have a teacher that's been there for 20 years. So, yeah, these are just some of the observations that I've seen. You know, my dad has been a school teacher for 40 years. He's driven the school, the city bus for 35 years. And these are the things that I've noticed about the hood. So, if you really want to make things better, email me. For real. Let's get it. Let's make things better for the hood.